Okay, now it is.
Sorry. I was just checking my email on my iPhone here. I have this annoying habit. I can be with friends or family members, and we're sitting down at a table and we're talking. When about 45 seconds goes past, and all of a sudden I have this need to reach into my pocket and take out my iPhone and check my emails. It's pretty pathetic, isn't it? It is, I'm afraid, and it's something that I'm very conscious of as being one of the downsides to having such a cool, totally awesome device such as an iPhone, where I have access to emails and text messages and everything syncs up wirelessly and all these cool applications and a whole bunch of other fun things. So it's a great tool, but it's my itch to reach in and check emails all the time, even when I'm dealing with people one-on-one, and really what I should be doing is paying attention and respecting that person in front of me. Reminds me also that there are downsides to this technology stuff. That's what I'm going to talk to you briefly about tonight. Now, before I say anything about the downside, I want to tell you that I am totally pro-technology. I like technology. Got an iPhone. I'm known to play the occasional game on an Xbox 360. Which happens to be in my room. I have, I like watching movies with, surround sound. I like computers, and I like to do stuff with computers. I like cameras. So I'm fairly techie. I'm fairly involved in technology, and I love the ability to be creative with technology. I love the incredible things that we can do now with computers and with cameras, and this technology which previously you would have to have been a millionaire to make and do the kinds of stuff that you can do now by spending a relatively small amount of money. That's very exciting to me. It's very exciting to me that the means to communicate to mass audiences has been democratized. It's been put into the hands of everyone. Now, granted, some of the stuff on YouTube probably is definitely not worth watching, but it's amazing that we have this kind of technology that allows us to do these things. So we're very blessed, and overall we are definitely I think as Christians, as believers, as Catholics, we should definitely be pro-technology. As with anything in life that is good, or that can be used for the good, it can also be used for the bad. And that's just a general principle that affects many things in our lives. I think of things like, people sometimes will make comments about, alcohol or food, or gambling or whatever, and say, well, aren't those things, isn't gambling bad, or isn't, alcohol bad? Well, no, not in and of itself. As a created things, they're good, but they can be misused. They can be used to do harm. It's the same with the gift of our sexuality. It's an incredibly good thing, but it can be used to cause a lot of harm and a lot of damage. And the key thing is, how is something used? That's the key thing for us. To say that something is bad in and of itself, or good in and of itself, unless we're talking about specific things that people do, is kind of silly, because it has a lot to do with how it's used. So what's a good use of technology? Well, I think technology used in a way that is in accord with the human spirit, with the human person. So, we are social creatures. We're created to be in relationship with God and to be in relationship with one another. And although virtual relationships can be occasionally handy, I think one of the potential pitfalls of technology is when virtual reality becomes more of our reality than true reality. You know what I mean? The different kinds of games that people can get sucked into, the different kinds of virtual worlds, as cool as they may be, can be quite dangerous. The different ways that we can be spending hours and hours and hours and hours on some video game, and guys, you know what I'm talking about, because you're like, oh man, just this one more level, I just got to beat this level, and it's like, oh my goodness, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I got to get up at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning to work, and you get up and you get like bags under your eyes, you're exhausted, and you're falling asleep at the computer, and these endless hours and hours and hours. And I know of people who are married who get sucked into these kinds of games, and their relationship with their spouses go down the drain because they're spending all this time. And instead of spending time to relate to people as human beings, we get stuck in this virtual environment, and it sucks us dry. And I think it can be very, very dangerous. Again, not against video games. I play some myself, but we've got to be very, very careful, because they do have also a bit of an addictive quality. So we've got to be careful of that. Also, another potential downfall, it's no secret that a large amount of the volume of internet traffic is to pornography, and that human beings have this great ability to turn any kind of technology in a way to create and convey pornography. And again, the problem's not with technology, the problem is with its use, people using it to make or distribute pornography. And it's pornography that's the problem, because pornography is a distortion of the human being, it's a distortion of human sexuality, a distortion of the relationships between people, and is a very kind of spiritual poison that, again, it can be very addictive, but it's like a virus that once it gets in us, you can't wipe it off the hard drive, and it really affects how we relate to one another. It's a very dangerous thing. And so a warning about technology and its connections to pornography as well. In the end, as cool as so many of our ways to connect are, nothing replaces spending time with the people we care for. Technology can enhance this sometimes, especially if we're separated from our loved ones. We can use Skype and have video conversations, and that's fantastic. People 20 years ago couldn't do that. But we must always remember that in the end, no technology can deal with the fact that we're called as Christians to love one another. I love my Mac, I love my iPhone, I love my TV, I love my surround sound system, I love my Xbox 360, I love all the stuff I've got, but we've got to love one another, and most importantly, we've got to love God, and not allow any of these little toys to become little gods that we serve and bow down to. God alone is God, and He is worthy of our praise, and He calls us to love Him, to be loved by Him, and to love one another. Amen. God bless.